was reading Ender part two, like the Speaker of the Dead, and I didn't even get to the book itself. I was reading the foreword by Orson Scott Card, where he's talking about like his inspirations for the book and the ideas behind it. And I've read this before, actually, years and years ago, and I was kind of surprised about how much of this foreword I remember about like how he came up with some of the concepts and um, just the just the general like feel of it. And again, much like reading Ender's Game, a couple of months back, I found myself kind of reflecting on certain things while I was reading this forward. There's a lot of personal things I was thinking about in regards to this. Why I didn't read like the books after the third one. Uh, there was an embarrassing reason for that. Uh, why like what I thought of the books when I first read them, what I thought of the first book, and there were a lot of things going through my mind. But the thing that like really struck me is that he goes on this like he makes this observation about like protagonists in fiction and how like generally they tend to be adolescents, right? Because like adolescents have freedom, they can do whatever they want, they don't have to fit into a community and do these things, they go on these adventures. And I found myself like wildly disagreeing with it and it took me a minute to realize why. I wrote a book that specifically defied the stereotype he's talking about. I created Soleil Freeman. I created American Evil, right? I created this female protagonist that was deliberately designed to be antithetical to other female action heroes, right? Specifically, like, for those of you who don't know, I wrote Cruel and Beautiful, and I began by conceptualizing the character of Amaris Yu, right? I wanted for this book to create an overly sexualized female character, right? A character that a typical Western creator would never make, right? I designed her to be extremely fetishized, to emphasize like the themes of the novel of like, this unfortunate young man being tormented in this like abusive relationship by this like ancient evil vampire, right? That was kind of the core concept of it. And so I took like the MRSU character and when I created like her antagonist figure, right? When I created Soleil Blade, like I specifically designed her as a foil, right? Somebody who is everything that Amaris is not, right? She is not charismatic, but she's kind. She's extremely strong and has this really strong sense of justice. And she's relatively sexless. Like that's always something that like I really, really wanted to fixate on when writing Cruel and Beautiful. That like I really wanted Soleil to be seen as like beautiful, but in this sense where like she's kind of untouchable and kind of out of your reach and kind of undesirable in that sense. Like she's like too good to be real almost in this sense. Like she's not she's not really like a sexually desirable person because of like her morality and like her like how strong-willed she is and stuff like that. Like it was like she's too good of a person to have like depraved thoughts about or something like that. Like again, that was like kind of the mindset developing the character in this sense, right? Right. And going into American Evil, I found myself like really, really thinking about like what I wanted to do with the character going forward because there was always this sense of like, oh yeah, she's gonna get married and have children eventually, right? That was always like the plan. Like the character was always planned to reappear. She's always been like a favorite of mine. But like when I was planning out American Evil and like I made the decision to bring Soleil into it, like I kind of realized that I had a golden opportunity to kind of like showcase more of like who this person actually is and it's like showcase more of her personality, more of her vulnerabilities, more of her background, right? I found all that like really, really interesting. And one of the things I really, really struggled with going into this was that like would Soleil Freeman, Soleil Blade, like her maiden name is Blade, would Soleil Blade marry American Freeman? Right. That was kind of like my thinking going into this. And initially, I really genuinely thought no, right? Because when I first conceptualized the novel, my plan, I first conceptualized the character of like Winsor Ellenway, right? I've talked about this before. Like I designed a character, you know, like a witch who's like, seeking to destroy like a group of other witches, right? And so she recruits a bunch of other people to like fight the witches on her behalf, right? Uh, so what ended up happening was that like I made a male protagonist, American, to be her love interest. And the way it played out, initially was that like they were going to be like apart, like star-crossed throughout it because of like Ellen Wee's position as a witch, right? And then like he would like they would beat the Ignis, and then like her master, Windsor would give her permission to marry him. And so he would like leave Soleil to marry her instead. Like the idea initially with like the Soleil marriage was that like it would be like a spy family inspired like fake marriage to like infiltrate this like evil community of witches and stuff like that. Like again, like it wasn't supposed to be a genuine thing going into this. So thinking about this, what ends up happening is that like I don't want Soleil to be a cuck. Like I'm just kind of like, she would never let this happen. Like no, it's unfair to her. It's unfair. Like it doesn't even make any sense. So I rewrote the script, well, the manuscript, to become like a more genuine marriage, and I really struggle with that. One of the things I'm trying to do going forward is that like I'm trying to avoid like forcing characters to be together if it doesn't fit the story, right? So like again, I traditionally what I would do is that I would design characters to like end up together at some point. But what ends up happening is that like they don't develop on their own and they're always like meant to be together. It just ruins like it doesn't feel organic or natural to me, right? Um like I just don't like the idea of doing that. I would rather like develop characters independently of one another, like have go on their own adventures and then like get married and have children, right? That's kind of the mindset that like I that's kind of the thing I kind of the typical process I want to do going forward in regards to this. So like with Soleil, uh I eventually made the decision to like make the marriage genuine, to make it like to push her as a serious love interest for American. And that kind of led to the realization that I had made a really unique female action hero because most of these women do not get married. They are not interested in starting families. And for the longest time, I was really thinking, I really was in this like mindset that like Soleil was no different than that. That it made sense for her not to get married, to like to focus on like her vampire hunting thing and to like save the world or whatever. But like when you really think about it, like why would she not want to get married? Why would she not want to have a good family life? Like what exactly does she have to lose by doing that? And so like I have essentially like broken the mold with this character. In this way, I have created a character that is quite a bit out of the ordinary in this sense because Soleil is absolutely one of the strongest assets that American Freeman has access to. She is absolutely a good woman and a good wife and a good warrior. Like she is hardcore, and you will see this when you read American Evil. Coming October 1st, 2024, please look forward to it.